Welcome to the Big Fat Real Estate Checks podcast with Marco Kozlowski, where we help investors like you get the knowledge and skills you need to replace your JOB with passive cash flow for life.
Hey, Marco here. I really wanted to share with you our earlier podcasts that we created. Now, our mics were not the best, but the content was really strong, and I know you will learn a lot. We had an absolute blast recording this, and I know you're absolutely going to love it as much as we loved recording it. This extremely content-rich information will not only give you the edge in your real estate investing business, but in everyday life. Enjoy. Welcome back. We're going to be discussing not being emotional during a negotiation, making terrible decisions, emotional decisions when you're communicating, both in writing and orally, when you're calling a seller and having these discussions and you get emotional. It's okay to get emotional, but only as a strategy or a tactic in order to gain advantage. But for the most part, it's important to stay as level-headed as possible, as impartial as possible, and understand that the numbers are going to be the bad guy. The numbers is what we want to focus on, not name calling or getting off track with anything other than the numbers. And that's extremely important. I don't know, Frank, you want to add anything about getting emotional in negotiation?
I was terrible at this. I get emotional over everything. I do. Extreme emotion, but you know what I think it is? It's when we first got into this business, you can't help not being emotional.
You want the deal.
You want
it's
the deal,
your deal,
because
right?
you can taste it. Oh, well, one of the parks that we were pursuing, it was a 54 spot mobile home park, and the negotiations started off well. We were compressing the gap, which is a strategy that we use, Marco, that you taught us, and you get emotional in the process because you keep saying it's like baking a cake. You can't rush baking a cake. So there's that time in between that you talk to the seller or the agent. And as you keep going, and this one took like 6 months, because it was literally off and on. The seller was an asshole sometimes, and he comes back, and then one day he's my friend, and one day he's not. I remember I phoned you. I don't know where I was traveling, and the guy says he doesn't want to talk to me. He thinks I'm bullying. What am I going to say? So you get emotional because you think you're that close from getting the property, and you're like, okay, this is
and your
great.
time invested, and that's sometimes something that gets you tied up into, like, I spent so much time on this, I have to close on this. But
you're right, and this went 6 months on and off, and going through that emotional roller coaster. It's on, it's off. It's like, oh my goodness, we got it again. Oh fuck, now it doesn't like me no more. And literally to the day of closing, we had a date of closing. I was so excited that day, and we were just talking about sleep. I didn't sleep at all. I was like, shit, this is gonna be good. We're gonna get it. And the guy, it's like flipping a switch. He was upset. And because
he was emotional too.
Well, no, he wanted to get rid of it. It was a partnership that went bad. There was 3 partners. It was 2 brothers that wanted to get rid of the other guy. The other guy was the money guy. And I leveraged the money guy. I go, listen, you don't have to give out he still wanted to use his money for something because he mortgaged that property. And I go, what are you doing with your money? He goes, I don't know. I got to find something to put it in. And I go, well, why don't you just put it in this property? Mm-hmm. And he did. And I guess the other 2 didn't like it. They thought it was I went in bed with them, but anyways, they basically called it off on the last day, on the day of
closing, yeah.
And again, this is after 6 months of back and forth. You're an asshole. I don't like you. I like you. This and that. And then on the last day, I was so devastated. So it's hard not being emotional. Mm-hmm. Now the end story on that is, I got them to.
We got it done.
Got them to see everyone's on the same page. Whatever, we got it done. We got it closed. But
that's not always the case.
That's not always the case.
But had you stayed emotional, it wouldn't have closed.
That's
right.
So
it's having the EQ, the emotional intelligence, to be removed, which is difficult because I'm an extremely emotional person. I cry at commercials. It's I'm emotionally invested in everything that I do, and I've learned to remove my emotions and just focus on numbers. And it takes practice. It's not easy at all. And when people are communicating with you or being angry with you or yelling at you or questioning you or even questioning your values, your integrity, they're insulting. You have to remove yourself. They're not really talking to you. Again, this is just a trick that I've had to create for myself so I didn't get, crushed, sucking my thumb, rocking back and forth in a corner, because kind of that's where I would be if I took everything so personally, to remove myself out of the equation and really focus on how can I serve everyone here with the best solution that makes the most amount of sense. And sometimes you can have the solution, but they're not hearing it. They're not understanding it because of the emotional level that they're at. Have you ever had an emotional confrontation with someone that you care about, and you're both basically saying the same thing, but neither is hearing the other?
That's right.
And it just, you're fighting over pasta that fell on the floor, one piece of pasta that fell on the floor, and it just explodes into, a knife fight over something silly. It's a miscommunication. So if you work on making offers that are non-emotional, based on numbers, receiving information and not getting emotional about it, and not being married to the deal until it actually closes. We could most likely have a whole episode on this, that many people believe that it's their deal and they haven't closed on it yet.
Yeah.
You've already spent the money. You've already got this under contract. You've already spent the money. You've already got the cash flow coming in, and you just called the guy. And you're getting, it's literally like going on a first date and calling, talking to the person that you're with, and what are we going to name our kids?
Yeah, you're right.
You're going to scare the shit out of them, right?
Yeah. And that's what happened on that scenario where, you have to basically, you're trying to find the solution. And we did on that one. But you know what? The solution I found mostly is as you keep, as I pursued my career, my journey in real estate, is to have more than one. So I don't get married to I don't get very emotional on each one. We just negotiated. We negotiated for 5 months.
Yeah.
A Holiday Inn, a hospitality property, since August. And it was literally back and forth.
And the deal could have been really great.
The deal would have been really great.
$7 million value, no, $10 million value, but with $200,000 in.
Yeah.
And we were on terms here.
2%.
So we were on terms on that, and how can you not get emotional on that? But we didn't, because we had others in the hopper, which hopefully we're going to get another 105 room hotel this month to close. So the emotional got severed when you have different, pots on the oven, if you want to call it.
Real estate is like popcorn.
Yeah,
it's just another kernel.
Yeah, real estate is like popcorn. You, if you buy one kernel of popcorn and put it on the stove,
and wait for it.
It might not never pop. You need to have as many kernels as possible, which are leads. And how does popcorn pop? With heat, right? And movement. You got to move it a little bit. So you're on the pot, you're moving it, and then do you know when the first kernel is going to pop?
Never.
You never know. But once one starts popping, they all start popping.
Yep.
And might there be kernels there that never pop?
Yeah.
Might there be kernels that pop but taste like shit?
Yeah.
Or might some kernels burn, like they're way overcooked, right?
Yeah.
And most of them will be nice, fluffy, and delicious, and make a nice meal. So that's the point: is you have to have a lot of kernels in your popcorn bucket. You have to work on the heat, because it's the kind of, if you're not putting enough heat, it'll never pop. If you're putting too much heat, it'll burn. If you put too much oil, then you got deep fried popcorn. It's going to be terrible. So you kind of have it just right. And as you're learning to do real estate, you might not be putting on the right kind of heat or the wrong heat, or you might, be overheating it, and it's burning all your deals. So understand that with the right knowledge, the right time pressure, with the right unemotional, the stove isn't emotional, it's just heating it up and doing the same thing. You're going to get better at being more, I'm going to say robotic.
Yeah, to a certain extent it is.
It is a little on the robotic.
You learn to control your emotions. That's what it comes down to.
And there is an art to doing this. It's not just like send, offer, get response, and done. Like there's a lot of back and forth that happens. Like music. Music is notes, or is it the space between the notes? It's both, right? So you have to understand both. lot of interesting concepts on this episode.
I still think, regardless, those that are starting off in real estate, your first one is always that special one. It's like your first kiss or your first date or whatever, your first car. It still holds a place in your heart deep down. But after you get over your first one, you tend to let go of the emotional that comes with it, because this is what you do. And having many kernels after that, it doesn't matter if 1/3 of them don't pop, because you have the other 2/3 that did.
And and then forgive me. The cool thing too is when you're negotiating and you're not emotional and you have a sprinkling of I don't give a shit when you're negotiating, sellers will start chasing you, because people with money aren't attached to that, because you're looking for a deal, not necessarily that deal. Mm-hmm. And by being separated from I'm looking for a deal, not necessarily that deal, the way you communicate will show that you don't care if you buy this or not. It's the numbers that will decide. So they're not going to be like, the wallpaper was hand woven by Vestal virgins on the south slope of a Colombian mountain by moonlight. You don't care about that. That's not something that's going to sell you. What's going to sell you is the numbers. Can this be profitable? Can I make money? If I borrow money at X and it generates Y, am I able to pay back my investors, and am I able to make money on this? And is there multiple exit strategies? If you've listened to past podcasts, that kind of combines a lot of episodes in the same sentence.
And the seller's job here, or the broker's job, is to make it emotional for you, and because that's when you make mistakes. So if they tell you things like, there's already someone that's coming in with an offer tomorrow, so you gotta make things quick. And when you rush things and you get sidetracked by emotions, you may just come in with a higher offer and they'll take it, and then you'll close on it and realize that was a big mistake, when in reality there was never another offer. And maybe there is, and even if there is, it doesn't matter, because there's 100 other properties that are available for you to go out and make offers on. So usually emotional decisions in business lead to dangerously big mistakes, and are hard to recover from.
But that's how sales is being done right now.
Yes.
It's based on emotions. It's based on scarcity. It's based on the fear of missing out. People buy on emotion. That's why they have impulse items that they buy. That's what salespeople do.
Companies are collecting data on the way people make their emotional decisions, so that they can create these emotions in their stores. So when you come in there, you have this urge to buy something. So it's the same thing in real estate. The brokers get that, and that's their job, is to make it emotional for you.
So I'll sum this up with be married to the process and divorced from the result.
Yes.
If you have a really good process behind you, and I've worked extremely hard over the last 20 years to develop processes where it's a numbers game. I'll make 100 offers, 99 will be rejected, one of them will eventually be accepted. In fact, I'll make 100 offers, all of them will be rejected, and then we'll follow up, and we'll have a handful that will actually be accepted. Mm-hmm. Some I'll take. Some I'll do on owner finance, or I'll do creatively, and some I'll actually wholesale. Mm-hmm. And based on the reactions that I get, I will create an opportunity for each one of those. And we don't stop following up with people until they either call the police or it's sold to somebody else. Because the fortune is in the follow-up.
It is 6 words out of Frank.
And but that's it. It's not an emotional thing. It's just, that's the process. Yes. I'm going to follow it. I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to resist it. I'm just going to follow it. And if you have those processes that are well laid out, you will be successful. And if you remove your emotions out of it and just follow process. If you go to McDonald's and you order a hamburger in Los Angeles, or you order a hamburger in Seattle, or you order a hamburger in Orlando, it's the same burger, because they all have the same process. It's all McDonald's, and it all basically is the same, mm-hmm. even though they're in completely different areas. Exactly the same thing. They have a process. They follow it. There's no emotion. If the hamburger flipper has a bad day, it's not affected in the quality of the hamburger. It's shitty hamburger anyway. Mm-hmm. We can have a discussion on that after. But, it's the same burger no matter what. It's systems and processes, and that's what creates revenue. And that's what we've worked very hard at, not only creating, but allowing others to follow it, so you can have results based on no emotion, but systems and processes. I think that's pretty much handled it. And
without any emotions.
Yeah, emotionless. Yeah, we're dead on the inside. Completely dead, except for Frank.
Yeah.
I'm alive. I'm taking it alive.
He's glowing with emotions.
I'm good.
That's good.
So thank you very much for joining us today on this non-emotional episode of this podcast. Goodbye.
If you like this episode of Big Fat Real Estate Checks, then show some love by leaving a comment and a good rating. Also, as a thank you for tuning in today, we've got a special free gift. The journey to passive cash flow for a life starts by finding deals, and it's easier than you think. Simply go to getdealsbytuesday.com, enter your email address, and we'll send you a free quick start course called Deals by Tuesday. Even if it's 11 p.m. Monday night, this course will show you how to find discounted real estate deals by Tuesday. It's that fast and simple. Go to getdealsbytuesday.com and start your journey toward life-changing cash flow today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.